Yeah. Yeah.
Look at me.
Benchmark, they're speaking the facts that you wanna hear. That rapper jersey, the vision is clear. Diamonds glisten like a chandelier. You know what I'm here for, like Marshawn Lynch. At clutch time, we do not flinch. Real brothers, we do not switch. Hit home runs with the right pitch. Who run the city? What to do when they hating on you? I feel like Kobe 2010. I ain't taking an L, all I need is a win. Business is business, you know how they go. You playing the seats, now it's time to grow. Tuning now, gotta be in the know. Showtime, bitch, my about to blow.
I ain't seen from now. Miles, he was really.
Next my podcast. What's up, bro?
Welcome back to another episode of the Bench Mob BNT. I'm your host, Tone, Mr. Still Not Worried for that the second. I got my boys with me, Greg, Mr. Hot Takes, the Debate Your Mother Sins Mir. How you doing today?
I'm good, bro. I'm good. I'm ready to get into this. We're locked in for the playoffs right now.
Miles Davenport, how you feeling tonight?
I'm feeling good, yo. Obi Toppin, king of the city, putting up 40 points. That's what I'm feeling right now. I'm feeling like Obi. I'm feeling like
King
Obi right now.
of the city.
Oh, yo. I hope the listeners save this clip and realize what I just said versus what Miles just said, and understand that's the difference between Miles and I, right there. What I'm celebrating and looking forward to versus what Miles celebrating.
Yeah, you guys are pushing P, playing.
That was a good one right there. Before we get any playoff talk in the NBA, baseball is back. We got to talk about it a little bit. Y'all was excited to have us talk about baseball and where we at. So, you know how we feel. It's not the most exciting sport. They have a lot of room for improvement. But we got Mets fan on here. We got Yankees fan on here. So we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about y'all teams. How you feeling about – we're going to start with the Yankees, man. We talking about AL East. Are they the favorites to win the AL East, the Yankees?
No. No. I wish I could say they were, but there's a lot of things going on with this team. Like now we got Aaron Judge's extension over our shoulder the whole season, so I wonder how that's going to play out. But also the Red Sox are good, even though they haven't beaten us yet this year. The Blue Jays are really good this year, a young team with some young stars. And then, of course, Tampa Bay, the team that does more with less. Like they always have the lowest payroll, but they always seem to find guys that can just play baseball. That's the main goal that you should have as a GM is finding cheap players that sort of make plays, and this is what they do. So I think the Yankees right now, they might even be the third best team in this division right now, unless they prove me wrong. But they didn't make any moves in the offseason. They didn't, go big game hunting with Carlos Correa, or who else was a free agent? There was a lot of shortstops out there they could have gone after, which is a big need. Like we got some guy, I can't even pronounce his name. I'm sorry, but it's a tough one. But like there were a lot of free agents out there to go after, and I don't know, this new Steinbrenner is a lot cheaper than George that most Yankees fans are used to. So this is something that Yankees fans just have to get used to. They're not spending big money on players, just throwing money around and hoping that within the time frame of that contract they win a championship. They're trying to be smart. And I hope it doesn't come to the point where they try to get cute with this Aaron Judge situation. Because if he's gone, that's very hard to replace. Like he's the de facto captain right now. He's pretty much the closest thing we've had to a captain since Jeter left. So if he leaves, then I don't know. We might be a rebuilding team, which as a Yankee fan, that doesn't sound right. It doesn't sound right saying it, but they're just not, high on spending money right now, and we'll see what happens.
Who y'all guys winning the AL East though?
I got
Rays.
the Rays.
The Rays.
Although I think Toronto could surprise a lot of people. Although it shouldn't surprise people. They were really good last year, and those young guys are only getting better. They're starting to get more pieces to the puzzle. They traded for Barrios last year, and he's a really good pitcher. And I think they had the Cy Young winner last year on their team. So this is a team that, dark horse could make a run at it in the American League for the World Series. I mean, it's wide open, but it's definitely the toughest division.
Now we got, of course, transition. We got to talk about your Mets. You smirking the whole time Miles talking. So, is this the year?
He's happy because they haven't really lost too many games this year, although y'all lost one today. So I'm not
okay. 3 out of 4. This is a game. This is a game where you try to win series. Last time I checked, that's how baseball works. It was a 4-game set. We won 3 of them. That's domination, in my opinion. That's domination right there. And we turned Washington National Park into Citi Field South. So I'm cool with that. That was great. The Mets look great, even without the best pitcher of all time, Jacob deGrom. Even without him being out there, we still went out there and waxed them and pitched great in that series. So I feel real good. And offensively, we look good. We're hitting with runners in scoring position. We're clutch and all that. But let's talk about the fact that the Mets are the new Yankees. The Mets spend money. We're the big spenders in town. But the Yankees don't spend money. That's what and no one I know is going to feel bad for the Yankees right now. No one's going to feel bad for them.
Well, you guys are spending money because you guys play in an easy division. So
no, we're spending money because we have the richest man in sports funding our baseball team. That's how we're spending money. And I'll say this too.
You get a 5. You get a 5. Everybody. That's he's Oprah. He's Oprah.
You wish you had Oprah right now, right? Instead you got Wendy Williams on your show over there, and so everybody's going to leave in there with BS goodie bags. That's the problem down with the Yankees. And I'll say this too: your boy Judge, he looked real good with us when at the end of this upcoming free agent cycle. I think he could be a Met. So I'm happy about that too. We can throw him the bag. We'll give him everything.
I don't think he would stoop that low. I don't think he
stoop that low.
I think he's got high
low.
It's
an upgrade.
High standard. It's not an upgrade.
You ain't got to do that stupid stuff where you shave your face. Something about that whole shave your face thing is so pretentious and nonsensical to me, by the way, where you have to shave your face when you get to be barefaced when you become a Yankee. I don't know. Something about white men being barefaced makes me very uncomfortable.
The history of the Yankees. Everybody's had to do it.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a bunch of white men with bare faces.
Even James Harden would have to do it if he came to the Yankees. But, of course, there's nothing he could do to help us. So...
But in all seriousness, the Mets are a very, very good baseball team. I think they're going to have a really good, successful season. I'm excited.
And this is what happens when you actually hire a real manager.
Buck Showalter is
awful. Rojas was awful. Terrible decisions. And now Buck Showalter, who he's been on the shelf for the last couple of years covering the Yankees. I never understood why he never got a chance. And it would have been tough to give him a second chance with the Yankees, but I think I'd rather him than Boone. But I'm not in the front office. I don't know what they're thinking. So shout out to y'all for finally getting a real coach to come coach.
Doing the right thing, for making a move that ultimately lands a championship. You got Scherzer. You got Scherzer. Tyler McGill is incredible, huh?
Because DeGrom is declining.
No, he's not. He's gonna come back throwing 99. He's gonna come back with the crazy whip numbers. He's gonna come back with the crazy low ERA. He's the greatest pitcher we've ever seen. You've never seen a better pitcher than Jacob deGrom in your life. That you can't tell me I'm wrong about that. And you can't name a better pitcher.
That's cool. But over the last couple of years, he's been in and out of the lineup. So
as long as he's back by the playoff, I'm giving DeGrom the Kyrie treatment. I'm giving DeGrom the Kyrie treatment. As long as you're back by the playoffs, I'm good. Take the year off. I don't give a damn. As long as you're back by the playoffs, Let's go win a chip. That's it.
Yeah.
Because you know when he's out there,
elbows in baseball. When you talk about the elbow in baseball, it gets real dicey. So
it was a shoulder. I thought it was the shoulder with him. It was a shoulder. He has an issue with the shoulder now. It was the shoulder. It's not the elbow.
It's hard to.
I'd rather it be your shoulder than your elbow.
I can't keep track.
I'd rather it be your shoulder than your elbow. Yeah, you see you praying on injuries. It's just like with the
Nets.
Nets.
I'm not praying on
Nets
injuries. I love Jacob deGrom. He would look good in pinstripes.
Yeah, well, that'll never happen.
He's got a contract extension coming up.
You guys will try to pay him pennies. Y'all gonna try to give him ShopRite gift cards instead of giving him a contract. Meanwhile, we're gonna pay him the right way.
Y'all
so
that's
gonna happen.
5 years, $300 million, and it's gonna work out for y'all. I don't think so.
We're giving him 5 years, $300 million. I got no problem with it. We're gonna max him out. Run him the max. Run him the Legends deal because that's what he is. He's gonna retire a Met. He's gonna have a statue in front of Citi Field because he's the best player I've ever seen. Like he's incredible. He's incredible. Jacob deGrom is that good.
Who we got winning the World Series? Do the Dodgers put it together? We got the Braves repeating. Who y'all see win the World Series?
If we're healthy, we come out the NL. We're healthy, we can come out.
This is a realistic question. We're not trying to.
And it's a realistic thing. It's a realistic response. The Mets are legitimately a World Series dark horse. They can go to the World Series and win it all. Yes, they can. And you can't tell me I'm wrong. We got our lineup is stacked. Our lineup is stacked. We got Marte, Alonso, McCann. We got a bunch of guys, a bunch of bats. Got the guy Canha from the A's. Nah, man, we're straight. We got a real good team here. And we're gonna make an acquisition in the middle of the year. We'll make an acquisition for the bullpen. We'll continue to get better there. But they can come out. Of course they can. I'm not picking anybody over my Mets. Why should I? Why should I pick Atlanta over us? Why? Because Freddie Freeman, the Mets killer is gone. Freddie Freeman's gone.
Mets killer's gone.
He's gone.
They did all that without their best player too.
Who?
Last year, Acuna. He's not even playing yet. So
yeah, right.
When he comes back, then we'll see. We'll really see.
Well, I'm not scared to pitch to him with my guys. We'll go at him. He's got great pitching. Mets historically have great pitching.
You still got to solve that Lindor problem because that.
Where's Lindor? Lindor hit a home run today. Lindor looks great.
He's hitting 160.
It's the first week. It's the first week of the season.
After he did what he did last year, he's under a microscope. So
whatever. He's gonna play great. He'll live up to the contract. I'm not worried about it. He's gonna be great.
Long one.
And Alonso is great too. Like I love this. I love this team. I think we have a real chance this year. I'm excited about them. And I listen. I have met cynicism. They've obviously failed me in the past, right? But this is a different group. There's a different group with a real manager in place that has real credentials. So we have a shot to win it all. Yes, that's a real thing. I think any Mets fan would agree.
So you're back on the drugs then?
Of course. Let's shoot me up.
Hey, Miles, who you got winning the chip for over here for the World Series? You obviously aren't picking the Mets.
You obviously didn't pick the Yankees either.
Well, no, because I mean the Mets always have issues with injuries, so I'm not worried about them. But that's neither here nor there. I think the Yankees definitely have a shot.
Okay.
I'm not counting my boys out because
why not?
This new pitching coach has come in and
he's
changed things. He's changed so, and we got a stacked lineup too. So if we can make it out the AL East,
we got even the best team in New York.
All right, see now you're going too far.
You're not the best team in New York. The Yankees aren't better than the Mets.
Still little bro. You guys are still little bro.
But you guys are on a better team in New York. The Nets are technically little bro too, but lately we've been sunning y'all. It's the same. It's no different. It's just our turn. It's just our turn. You're little bro. Okay.
The Nets pay people to go to those games. That's why it's so empty.
These games have been packed lately. We've been selling out. I don't know what you're talking about.
All right, we'll see.
Look at the way to the playoffs. We'll make the city money when you guys aren't.
That playing game is gonna be real nice.
We're gonna blow them out. We're gonna win the playing game. We're gonna be in 7th seed. We're gonna play Boston. We're gonna beat Boston, and we'll take it from there.
Okay,
we'll take it from there. We'll beat Giannis again. On to whatever. We'll meet him again.
But anyway, the Yankees. That's my pick. That's my pick.
Real original.
So a lot of people, speaking of picks, and we talking about championships, a lot of people did pick and believe that Mike Krzyzewski and Duke would win. UNC, we know, got him up out of there. And a lot of stuff happened in between NFL free agent and stuff. We did not get to talk about Coach K's legacy. When it comes to Coach K, what is the legacy of Coach K in your mind? To me, I know everybody talks about he's the greatest college coach ever. He's one of the top coaches ever in basketball and sports. That's all great, and we could talk about that. But we still got to talk about how he also is the biggest sore loser in all of sports. He has a terrible culture there. He does not hold all of his players accountable. We've seen the time era when they had my man Grayson Allen there, tripping people, playing dirty, and Coach K letting it slide. Coach K not giving dap and handshakes to the team when he loses. We saw what he did after they lost to UNC in Cameron Indoor and came up and had that terrible speech. So, of course, y'all could give all his flowers, and I'll pass it to y'all to give the flowers, but I ain't giving him no flowers today. We got to hold him accountable for the nonsense that he did. He did a lot of nonsense that just went under the rug for Coach K and did not set always the best culture at Duke. I'm going to just put that out there. Greg and Maj, y'all can get that man his flowers. I'm a UNC fan anyway. He's not getting flowers from me anyway. But y'all
you should have led with that. That's the real reason you're not giving him his flowers. It's because you're a UNC fan.
Hey, we got him up out of there. He don't deserve no flowers on the set.
See, I knew there was I was waiting for it. That was it. Coach K is a legend. He's a legend. When he got to Duke, they were awful. In his first couple years, they were awful. And they wanted him out. They wanted him out of that coaching job. They wanted him fired. But he turned it around and turned this into a program that it's an elite program. One that if you're a top high school prospect coming out, this is kind of what you want to do. Everybody wanted to be offered by Duke. Everybody wanted to go to Duke when they were growing up. So it's one of those things where Coach K's legacy, I mean, you just look at the NBA and everybody that he's coached and sent to the league. Like the history in Duke, it's endless. So I think
history, though, a lot of them players don't pan out in the NBA. Just throwing that out there.
Who's a lot? There's still a lot of other players that panned out. Like you got Grant Hill, you got Jason Tatum, you got a lot of other guys. Kyrie Irving, even though he played 5 games for him. You want me to keep going?
I mean, what Christian Laettner turned out to be. Grayson, come on. JJ Redick.
Right. Well, that's different. That's the same thing with other players in college, that they're just, college stars. That once they get to the league, everybody's a lot more athletic and all that. So, but I think that he's the second best coach of all time. I wouldn't give him the best. I still think John Wooden and all his championships need to be, acknowledged in this scenario, because it's like Coach K, he's done a lot. Maybe his longevity helped him a little more, but I mean, what John Wooden did at UCLA was crazy. But he's still a legend. So I won't take that from him.
Yeah, he's a legend, but I mean, like I said, yes, I'm a UNC fan, but bruh, even with him berating the referees, even with how he talked to student reporters, how he disrespected student reporters at Duke. It's like we can't just give all flowers. We got to point out the nonsense, because I feel, keeping it a stack, if we talk about a black coach, we're going to pull up the other stuff. And we saw that this weekend with my man Haskins dying. First thing they said, they talked about his struggles on the field. That had nothing to do with that. So I ain't letting Coach K slide. We're not letting that slide. We're going to talk about his struggles too. Yes, I'm a UNC fan, but we're going to talk, yes, great. Wins, all that. Cool, it's great. You sent some players to the league, cool, great. Yay. Woo. We're not going to let that slide. I'll let you do that, Miles. You gave him his flowers. Somebody had to be the mature person to give him his flowers on the show, but I ain't going to let that slide, because we see how it be for us. My man died, got hit by a car. We talking about he struggled once he got to the NFL. Nah, bro. Nah, we're going to talk about Coach K struggles too. Greg, I know he was one of your favorites of all time. What was your viewpoints.
What do you mean? You know, you're my favorite of all time. I root for you. I've been rooting for UNC my entire life. I've never been fond of Coach K, but Coach K is a great basketball coach. There's no way around it. He's a legendary coach. You know, coaching is so hard. It's so hard. And to motivate people year in and year out that are that talented, and not just do it in college, but do Team USA too, and motivate Kobe and tell Kobe he's taking too many shots and have those kind of legendary stories. He's a legendary motivator of men. He's a legendary leader of men. He just is. There's no way around it. That goes without saying. Now, is it always great to see him lose? Yes. Do I like what Duke stands for? No, I've never liked what Duke stands for ever. From the recruiting profile, the players they've been recruiting over the years and how they've gone about recruiting, what their tactics have been. Let's face it, like they went from Christian Laettner to Brandon Ingram. Not a coincidence. Like this is what they quickly switched it up when they realized, hey man, these other teams are a little more athletic than we are. Yada yada yada. Right? They went that way real quick. I am by no means a Duke lover at all. At all. And I was so happy to see them lose, and he's had some big losses, but at the same time. And I wouldn't say he's the greatest coach of all time in college either. But I wouldn't say he's the greatest coach in basketball, obviously, either. I don't believe that. I think that reservation belongs to Greg Popovich. But regardless, I think that this guy is a great coach. And yeah, he has his warts. And there's things that you're not going to remember so kindly, but a lot of these guys do. So I'm not really surprised by the reports about the student reporters and, you know, obviously the way he treated Hubie Brown after they lost that game against UNC, not shaking his hand. Yeah, I saw that. We all saw it. We saw the ugly. We definitely saw it. It didn't go over anybody's head. It's not going over my head. We can definitely point it out. I'm sure as hell happy to do that. But he's a great coach. He's going to retire, and I'm good riddance. Good. Like, it's cool. Like, Duke will still be up with John Shire. You know, they'll still be a good team. It should be interesting to see how he leads them and how he coaches, and to see because obviously the standards have been set in Duke already. So, you know, if you go out there and you make a bad, you know, you call the wrong set, or you go out there and you call a bad timeout, or, you know, you just look like a new coach at Duke, it's not going to fly. His leash is not the longest. I don't envy him trying to be the second act to Coach K. That's kind of crazy, but we'll see how they do. Their recruiting class is crazy. They got Jared McCain out of California, good player, the famous TikToker. Some of these young guys know him. He's out here. He's a good hooper too. So they got some really good players. We'll see how it goes, but I have no problem pointing out the dirt. None.
And by the way, just so, because y'all like to call us on stuff when we mess up, Hubert Davis, he said Hubie Brown, which I know what he was talking about. So Hubert Davis. So before y'all comment on
I said Hubie Brown. Hubert Davis. I'm sorry, I can't get used to the fact that there's a black man named Hubert. I don't like it. I can't do it. A black dude named Hubert. What is this? God damn. Hubert Davis.
all good. I just put it out there just for me. You know, oh, they said Hubie Brown.
Yeah.
Be good. One of your mans, KD came out. KD has said, man, like, yo, they need to retire my jersey number. And OKC and Golden State, are y'all in agreement that KD should have his number retired in both cities? And he's already said if he stays at the rate that he's staying, Brooklyn should retire it too.
I mean,
yes.
Yeah. I mean, because he was drafted by Seattle. So his first he was one of the original players on that OKC team out there. So clearly he's the best player to ever play for OKC.
He's the best player to ever play for Seattle too, by the way. So there's that too.
I agree. Golden State.
Yes.
State. His number.
Yes, he came and saved their light-skinned superheroes behind when he needed them most. He came and saved them, and if he did not join that team, they would not have beaten the Cavs the following year. The Cavs would have won another championship. LeBron would have had 5 rings to the 4. So yeah, he deserves to get retire his jersey. Anytime, my rule of thumb is anytime a player of that level of GOAT status, of top 10 all-time status goes to your team, no matter what their contribution is to that franchise, you retire their jersey. It's a respect thing. Like the Lakers should retire LeBron's jersey. Absolutely. He won him he won him a championship. Like, yes, you should. Like, you had LeBron James on your team. That is crazy. You retired the jersey. KD, You retire the jersey everywhere he's been. Bro, the Nets will most certainly, and that unfortunately, even if he doesn't win a championship here, which I think he will, but even if he doesn't, they're going to retire the jersey. They're going to retire that jersey. Like, it's just the thing. They will win a championship here, by the way. But I'm just saying, like, you retire, you respect greatness. And Miles is laughing because as a Knicks fan, this is not a conversation he's very privy to. You don't really have to deal with this very often. You don't get many great players coming to the Knicks, so it's not a conversation we have very often about the Knicks.
It's not even that. It's just, we talk about this ad nauseum. So we don't need to get into it. Keep going. Good. My point being made, and I think that most people will agree. You retire the jerseys of greats that come to your basketball team. You just do it. And besides, KD on merit deserves it. In all locations, on merit, he's the best player in OKC history, best player in Seattle history, Supersonic history. He's the best player to ever put on a jersey. For the Nets, yes. For the Warriors, yeah, he's the best player to ever wear a jersey for them. He's better than Steph Curry historically. But history's gonna look back at these two players, and KD is gonna be looked at as a better basketball player than Steph Curry. He's a better player than Steph Curry is. So you retire that jersey and he helped you win a championship. Anyone finals MVP for you too. So yeah, you retire that jersey, and your years of dominance with him, it's 2 chips. So you got to acknowledge greatness. There's just no way around it. I think this is a pretty simple conversation. Hold up. So is Brooklyn going to retire Kyrie's number 2 if he doesn't win a championship, or just KD's?
That's an interesting conversation there. I think that Kyrie's jersey will be retired if he's able to string together some seasons where he plays more games. I think that's really what it is. He hasn't played enough games as a Net yet, but he's been incredible, broken records for the Nets. There's a good chance he's going to be in the Ring of Honor for the Nets. It just is. There's a really good chance. And obviously, we expect him to play more games in the future.
You can say the same thing about KD, that he hasn't played enough games yet. Because one, he missed that first year. He's in and out of the lineup. But when he's out there, you see the greatness. But, I mean,
I think it's getting retired regardless. I just think if you get to a certain stature of play, you get to a certain level as a basketball player, anywhere you touch down at, regardless of your contribution, it's greatness. You got to retire the jersey.
Regardless. So, hold up. If LeBron, because he's been missing a lot of games. So if he doesn't win that bubble championship.
Stop saying bubble championship. Why do people do that? What is wrong with people? That championship wasn't as what does that mean? What does it mean? So you don't count it, Antonio, because it was in the bubble? So if you won the championship in the bubble, wouldn't count?
But I didn't say it doesn't count. He's just stating the facts. And as a Lakers fan, I'm telling you, if that wasn't in the bubble, we wasn't winning.
I don't agree with that. But all right.
I mean, you're a Bron fan, but I'm being an honest Lakers fan.
I don't agree with that. The Lakers are the best team in the league that year.
We don't win that if we're not in the bubble. On a simple.
So who's bouncing you?
You said what?
So who would bounce you who would you lose to if you weren't in the bubble? Who was so affected? Don't tell me the Clippers would have bounced you. I don't believe that.
I'm saying you can't lie and say, for example, we look at the KCPs of the world shooting the lights out. But when the fans came back and we're back in arenas where you got to travel and you got to do this, you got the back-to-back nights, you got to travel to the other arena when you're playing in the playoffs and away games and dealing with away crowds. No. That would affect on our role players. I don't think we would have won if this was a regular season. Though.
So the logic is nuts to me because every team played in the bubble. Every team played in the bubble. Everybody played in the same circumstances, and other teams' role players didn't play well in the bubble. But because the Lakers played well in the bubble, they're being penalized for playing well in the bubble. And we're looking back and doing this revisionist history thing where now, because there are no fans there, KCP wouldn't have played well. What about the guys who didn't play well with no fans there? What about them? So would they have played well if there were fans there? Like, I don't understand. That's nonsense. They went out there, they're the best basketball team in the league.
Gotta look at history. If we keep it a stat, role players play better at home. Role players play better in their typical situation.
Facts. No one was in a typical situation and routine. No one. And everyone was at the same. It was a neutral site. And the best basketball team in the NBA won that year. AD was playing out of his mind. You guys got the best case scenario. It wasn't just LeBron. AD played out of his mind. LeBron was LeBron, but AD played out of his mind too. Like, what are we talking about? Like, I don't understand how like you can look at that. If anything, that championship was harder to win. It was a neutral playing site for everybody involved. There were no fans there. Guys who don't play well. They called TJ Warren Bubble Jesus. He was out of his mind. The guys who don't normally play well played well in the bubble. And it was pros in like a workout type environment going against each other, and the best guys won. That is a hard championship to win in isolation. That's the hardest championship I've ever seen anybody win. If anything, one of them. If Bron didn't have the 3-1 comeback, I would say it was as hard as one. But since he had the 3-1 comeback in 2016, it wasn't. But yeah, that's a tough championship. That is a real championship, battle tested.
Nobody's saying that it wasn't a tough championship. I'm just saying, you mentioned TJ Warren, perfect example. What TJ Warren do that next year?
I agree with you, but I'm saying everybody had the same advantages. It doesn't make like that argument doesn't make sense to me because everybody had the same situation. Reggie Jackson didn't have fans watching him either, and he didn't play well.
We see some of these players, when it went back to normal circumstances, did not play well. So if we were in normal circumstances from jump that whole season, I don't know, and we will never know. I don't know if the Lakers win that chip. Because we've seen them since in regular situations, and we got half the team up out of here. So I don't know.
I think the reward adaptation.
Took advantage of we're in the same situation as everybody else. But the thing that really was outside, you could say they were the best team. They were the most talented team, and honestly, they had the best mental toughness to go through everything they went through. A lot of people went through a lot of mental health issues being down there. Didn't handle it well. Players came out and said it afterwards, how as much as it was good at first and we didn't have to travel, it dealt a lot on their mental health. I think it wasn't we can't just say solidify, guarantee. They're not in the bubble. Lakers win that championship. I don't think it's just a guarantee.
I mean, yeah, we can say that about anything in life. We can say that about anything in life at all. We can play the hypothetical game, but I'm saying to you, like, the championship, the way people talk about it, I've been hearing that a lot lately, especially since the Lakers have struggled this year. I heard a lot. Oh, the bubble championship. Don't put an asterisk next to it. That's ridiculous. That doesn't. The champion doesn't deserve an asterisk at all.
But you gotta mention it.
But mention what? Yeah, that's crazy.
Hold on.
Yo, it's nuts, bruh. Lakers fans never deserve LeBron's services at any point and at all. He should have never went there. And the second he went there, I knew it was a mistake.
LeBron does not deserve Lakers fans. What are you talking about?
What are you talking about? Lakers fans have been spoiled for years. Years.
Bruh,
spoiled. Spoiled. You guys go through a couple bad years with what's his name? Smush Parker, and all of a sudden it's like y'all been through something. Or this year, y'all are bad this year, and y'all been through something. Y'all ain't been through anything. Trust me. Ask Miles. Look at this sad ass over there.
Miles.
We're not talking about the Nets. This is a storied franchise.
A storied franchise that added a storied NBA, one of the best two basketball players of all time to their franchise. They won them a championship.
Hold on, yo, Greg. If KD was wearing a size 13, would his number be retired by the Nets, or would it,
It's gonna be retired regardless. I don't get the jab there. I mean, we were in the playoffs, y'all weren't. Or y'all were getting screwed over by Trae Young at the Garden. So I don't really understand what the
you're right.
I don't get it. He's gonna
have two superstars to take us to the play-in. We don't have two superstars to get us to the play-in game. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's exactly how it happened. Right. Let's say it like that, because that's exactly how it led to this moment. Like two superstars led us to the play-in, led us to the play-in.
If we look at the tenure of Kyrie and KD, how can you be, happy besides them playing for your team? Because the goal at the beginning of this was to win a championship.
Still is, and they're going to be here for the next 5 years together.
But this is like, it's not a good start.
Look, it don't matter. It don't matter about the start. Matter where you finish. Period.
Okay.
I told my players
I'm saying, like, if at the end of KD's contract, because he re-upped, so he's here for the next 4 years. If he doesn't win a championship, why would they retire his number? Like, it's
no. Cool. You got to retire his number. You got to retire his number.
I don't
retire his number.
I guess because you
got to retire greatness is not. You got to, like, when that level of player comes to your franchise, he will have broken so many records in the next 4 years just being here playing for this franchise. You got to retire the number. Like, you have to. Like, You get to a level of greatness. You get to a level of greatness where that stuff is just expected. What KD's saying, that's where he's coming from. I'm KD. That's what he's saying.
Cool. KD's great. We don't disagree with that. So we're going by your standards, right? If they're a top 10 player, they're great no matter what they contribute. If they're great and they came to your organization, they need to retire their number. So do we retire Kawhi's number in Toronto for that 1 year?
Absolutely.
Probably.
Win a championship. Absolutely.
That's different. That's a different situation.
I want to go based off of your standards. I wanted to see, are you being accountable? Like,
I'm retiring. I'm retiring.
But look, if they don't win that championship, they don't retire that number. So it's that simple.
Kawhi's not in the same, but here's the thing. Kawhi's not in the same breath as KD as a player or LeBron. He's just not that good. He's not that guy.
If KD wanted that guy,
he's not in that conversation. He's not top 10 all time. So I don't want to hear it.
Okay.
All right. We're talking about standards, right? This ain't a conversation for the Kawhi Leonards of the world, the Russell Westbrooks of the world. They don't belong. They're peasants in this conversation. We're talking about guys like KD and LeBron. These are guys that are two of the greatest to ever touch a basketball ever. So yeah, like when they come to your team, you respect that.
You're 100%. They are in the conversation for greatest of all time. Kyrie's not in that conversation. So unless they win a ring, you can't retire.
Kyrie's the most skilled player of all time. When you consider the most anything of all time, the most anything of all time, the most anything, you are in a different air. And Kyrie is in that air. Kyrie is a legend.
What
for
about
real,
KD?
for real? And he has a chip. He's a legend. Like Kyrie's a legend. Okay, you ain't seen nobody more skilled than Kyrie in your life. You never seen a more complete offensive player in your life than Kyrie Irving, and you can't name one. You can't. And if you try to, then you're a fool because there's no one that's ever existed that has been when they touch a ball, like they got a counter for everything a defense does. That's Kyrie Irving. Yo, and he got chip. He got a winning pedigree behind him. I know he got it with Bron, but still, he got it. 80 got it with Bron. 80 top 75 according to the writers. So
unfortunately.
Kyrie's top 75 too. He just wasn't under because of the vaccination crap. We don't know that. We don't know the BS behind it. That guy is a guy worthy of retiring. The Cavs should retire his jersey. The Cavs retire his jersey right now. They absolutely should. And the Nets ultimately will when he plays more basketball games, which he will. He already holds a bunch of records.
Miles mentioned a name that I want him to say, and he's going to go. But regarding that Cavs take right there, what Kyrie did in Cleveland before LeBron came, I'm not retiring his number. Miles,
That's ridiculous.
Because hold up.
Because that's Kyrie's fault.
You know that whole, at the beginning of the Brooklyn era, KG came to the Nets. How come his number's not retired? He's this
because he's not. Listen to the criteria.
He's not KD. My bad. He's not KD.
He's not a top 10 player of all time. KG is just another dude. He's just a ball-headed dude.
He's just another dude.
Another guy.
Wow, this is the perfect transition. So we put up a poll, right? We put up a poll that said if Giannis wins a championship, he will be better than KG. The options was facts. The options was no, and the other option was Giannis is better than KG already. You know who voted that Giannis is better than KG already?
Greg.
Insmere.
Yeah.
I ask you that. Please share with us. Giannis is better than KG right now in his career.
I think so. Yeah, I think Giannis is the better talent. I don't think anyone would disagree with that. And he's accomplished. He's crazy accomplished. Defensive Player of the Year. Is it multiple times now? He obviously multiple time MVP winner. He's what are we talking about? The guy's phenomenal. And now he's added a jump shot to his game. It's scary how good he's gotten. Like I was slandering Giannis for the longest time because he was a run, jump, and dunk guy for the longest who could dribble a basketball and pass it, which is great, by the way, which is already great when you're at that size. Then you add a turnaround jump shot over each shoulder and you can make it at a reasonable clip. You can knock down a standstill three. He's better than any KG I ever saw. And I saw KG. He's better than any version of KG I ever saw in my life. So when you take that into account, I mean, I don't know how else this is really a conversation. In fact, I saw the poll and I was confused. I was like, where is this comparison coming from? Because unless the only person who thinks that KG is better than Giannis is KG himself. That's it. He's the only person.
But,
huh?
I thought you were going to say Chris, but.
What? Chris? Nah, Chris. Nah. Unless he has some kind of tie to Connecticut, I don't know about. I don't think Chris gives a damn about this conversation. Period. So yeah, but Miles, do you think that KG's better than? Do you think that Giannis is already better than KG? Just historically, how we gonna look back on it? If Giannis retired today, are we saying he's better than KG? In your opinion, now you already know what I think.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, one, KG couldn't win in Minnesota, so he teamed up with everybody in Boston to win that championship. He was a great player where he was, but Giannis, he's gotten it out the mud. He's worked hard at his game. You see the improvements every year, and he's almost like, I don't know how to say it, like a different version of KG. Because this guy, he can dribble. KG could dribble too. He could shoot. Now Giannis can shoot. But he's more athletic. He can do a little more in his game than KG could back then. So I think, and you add the defensive player of the year too on top of that, even though I know Greg will, dispute that one. But
I know he deserved he deserved it at least once. At least once he deserved it. I'm not saying he didn't deserve it at all. But my thing about KG is as simple as KG is a more skilled player. I think if you go back and watch, right.
He's the more skilled player, but overall, if I had to pick between the two, if I'm starting a team, I'm going with Giannis because he can start the offense himself from 94 feet. So
exactly. It's the way they impact the game that makes Giannis better. It's the way he impacts the game versus the way that KG did it. Giannis has a greater impact, and honestly, basketball's in a better place now where a KG-like player, the power forward doesn't even exist anymore. It's not a thing. There's no such thing as a power forward.
Who's to say that KG wouldn't be more like Giannis if he was playing now? Because he was definitely asked to do a lot less than some of the players are asked to do now. Like even Jokic can dribble up the court. When were centers ever allowed to dribble up the court?
I just don't think. I think where Giannis separates himself from KG, even if you ask KG to do that, is his ability to pass the ball.
Yeah,
I don't know how Garnett's going to do in a driving kick offense where he's kicking out 3-point shooters and make the right decision every time down the floor and play out of the pick and roll and hit the roller. I don't know that he's skilled. I don't know that he's skilled enough as a passer and decision maker to do that. So that's where I think he separates himself. Giannis in this conversation. Giannis is the more impactful player. I don't even, I don't think it's even a debate. I think we all in agreement there. I don't know how Antonio feels, but because he hasn't said anything yet, but I know how you feel. You agree. So you think, congratulations, Miles, you're finally right about something.
Finally right.
Nah, I'm in complete agreement. I wanted to get your take on it because I saw you voted for that. And if you remember, a lot of people didn't agree with you. When we look at the poll, a lot of people didn't agree with you. So I
didn't even look back at it because people aren't that well. I shouldn't say that. These are people who listen to the podcast. So that's good. I'm glad. Well, here's your free education, people who didn't agree. Please keep listening to the show.
Yeah. So the game, the game evolves all the time. We had KG, who was great in his era, and now you have a Giannis, which is like KG on steroids. So the game is constantly evolving. You have the greats, and I think it's really dope when you see players like KG, AI that give respect and love to the players that's playing now. It's great to have some players from the older generation that'll be like, if I play this era, I would do well. They're overpaid. They don't know what they're doing. If they played in my era, we've heard it. If Giannis played in the 80s and the 70s, he wouldn't be able to do none of that stuff. We hear it all the time. So I think it's great when players do actually show love from different eras. And right now it's looking a little dicey with Kareem when he speaks about Bron. Lately, it seems like Kareem ain't rocking with Bron for some reason. Even Melo was like, hopefully we can have him sit down and have a conversation. Kareem has criticized Bron a lot this year specifically. Starting off with the whole thing with COVID, he took issue with the post that LeBron posted where it was talking about the 3 Spider-Mans, COVID, code, and flu was pointing at each other. He said that Bron has embarrassed himself. Bron should be doing better as a leader. he has done some things that he has an issue with. When he had that game winner, he did the Sam Cassell celebration, big balls. Kareem came out, said it was immature. He shouldn't have done that. He's been pretty outspoken this year towards Bron. And after the most recent thing, he comes out and saying that he respects Bron. He loves Bron. He didn't think it would get this big. AKA, I didn't think y'all cared that much because Kareem, you spoke. You knew this was going to get responses. Is it because Bron's about to pass him? Like, what's y'all takes on Kareem speaking out on Bron this whole year? Which I even want to see them like sit down and have a talk and try to figure this out.
I personally care less whether they figure it out or not. I could care less. This is clearly insecurity kicking in. Okay, I mean the guy's about to pass your record that I've heard a million times from people from his age and his day say they never thought anyone would break this record. They never thought anyone would break the 36,000 point regular season record. And so he just feels insecure. And here's a lesson for all the kids and all the people listening to the podcast: you're never too old to be insecure. You're never too old to be insecure about anything. So, Will Smith is a good example. It's a good transition, right? It's the same thing. You're never too old to be insecure about anything in life. And so I think it's just that. Honestly, I don't make a big, like what? Are we really going to sit here and break down the fact that this guy said it was a big deal that LeBron made a post that made perfect sense about COVID, where he was like the 3 Spider-Man meme where he's like cold, flu, and COVID. Like, yeah, they all are very similar. I had some cold and flu symptoms last week. And I went and got tested because I thought it was COVID and it wasn't. Like, what are we talking about? Like, it's not that deep. The guy, Kareem, we respect Kareem because he's an accomplished basketball. He's one of the most accomplished basketball players of all time. He doesn't get enough due in the greatest of all time conversation. I think that now he's starting to take offense to that. And it's really hitting him now because LeBron's about to pass that record. Because if you think about it, everyone talks about Michael Jordan being the greatest basketball player of all time. Yo, man. And no one ever talks about Kareem. I cracked open a book and read that Kareem had lost a basketball game from his high school, from his senior year of high school through all of college. It was something crazy like that. He'd lost like twice in that span. And then he went to the NBA and was obviously dominant. So I understand where he feels some kind of way. And now he's vocalizing it, but he's projecting. And is at LeBron's expense? I don't think this is actually about LeBron. I think it's about the fact that he doesn't get his due in the greatest of all time conversation. Because a lot of these Jordan lovers out here just propped up Jordan and put him past Kareem and never saw Kareem play. And that's the problem. Okay. So Kareem deserves, if you tell me Kareem's the greatest basketball player of all time, and this started for me about 6 years ago, if you start telling me that in these conversations, I would listen to you because I read about Kareem. I obviously couldn't see him, but I read about him. He had an unstoppable shot. That's hard to do. And so, yeah, he deserves to be, if you consider him the greatest of all time, that's a respectable take. It's a very respectable take. You don't just put, I get it. Like he's on that, seeing that the conversation we were just having is it's a good segue too, where I'm talking about, hey, respect greatness. If a top 10 player comes to your organization if a top 10 player of all time comes to your organization, you retire his jersey, it's the same premise, the same idea. That guy is a top 3 player of all time, Kareem, no matter how you look at it, no matter how you split it. He's 3. He's number 3. If you have it any other way, if it's not some order of Jordan and Kareem and Bron, you're wrong. I think that Kareem feels some kind of way because people just kind of bypass him in the conversation, and he's alive to see it. And it's just gnawing at him, and he's going at Bron because Bron's the easy target because Bron about to pass his record. The Lakers are struggling this year. Everyone in LA is upset with LeBron in some form or fashion because they're pouting and they're throwing their little temper tantrums because the Lakers ain't where they want them to be. And for some reason, this vitriol is not placed in other directions. It's placed LeBron too. I get fine, whatever. That's something new for LeBron to deal with. But I do think there's a lot of things that factor into this, but mainly he's got sour grapes. Like, yo, I'm that dude. Like, what are you talking about? I'm that guy. I was a social activist too. Yeah, he's just jealous. It's just jealousy. It's childhood jealousy. That's all it is. So that's the way I see it. But I don't know. I'd be interested to hear y'all takes about it.
Hey, Ma, so in that talk, I think is even a more important talk. We're talking about this. This is something that, our followers voted on that they wanted to talk about. But I think an even more important conversation is what Greg brought up. The bigs, the centers, the power forwards are rarely brought up in the greats of all time conversation. is Kareem, in your opinion, should Kareem be brought up in more of these conversations of greatest all time? Is he on your list of the top three, like Greg was saying, a mix between Mike, Kareem, and Bron?
I mean, he should be. If you look at the stats, the numbers, the rebounds, the points, he's got the rings to show for it. It's not like he never won anything. Like his career was probably, when he retired, he was the greatest of all time. But then, of course, Jordan came, and that added a lot of fuel with, how fun Jordan made the game of basketball look. And then now you have Bron, who, I mean, a kid from Akron coming out of high school to turn his career into what he's done. Of course, people are gonna, fawn over it. And he's kind of, he's been put on the back burner a little bit. His career has been over for maybe 40 years now. So, the younger generation won't recognize him as the greatest of all time because they've never seen any highlights of him playing basketball. So I think it's tough. It's got to be tough as a player, and what you did and what you accomplished in your career, to just sit there and accept someone else is being better than you. But I don't know. Maybe it's because he doesn't respect what he's done with the Lakers as of late, and I don't understand why he has a problem with Bron, but maybe it's because he's been knocked down a notch on the top 5 list, or top 3, like you said.
Shout out to Magic Johnson too, because he's not like that. Magic's a top 10 player of all time in his own right, and he knows Bron passed him, and he's still showing love to Bron. He's still, and maybe he doesn't know LeBron passed him. Maybe he thinks he's better than LeBron. Maybe he does, like, for some weird reason. And that bald ass head of his, maybe he thinks he's better than Bron. I don't know. But if he does, he sure as hell doesn't show it. The guy does a great job of showing love to and like we talked about, Tony, you said it. Like, I'm sure you're gonna bring it up. Like, go right ahead. But like, when you show love to the next generation, he does that for Bron. I can appreciate the fact that he does that. It's not petty. It's not a spirit of pettiness there.
You mentioned Magic too. I think Magic isn't brought up in these conversations enough either, though. When we talk about greats, because his career didn't fully go as planned with everything that happened with him off the court. But Magic definitely should be in that conversation. I think Magic should be in more people top 5 conversations of all time. Magic should be in there. A lot of times Magic is not brought up in that conversation. And Magic, if you don't know, do the research. Start from his rookie year all the way till he finished, bro. Like, at the end of his career, the man had a dad bod and was still averaging 17, 8, and 8. Like, Magic really was that dude playing center, winning the championship at center. Like, Magic was that dude. And I think some people be forgetting that on that level too. I think when it boils down to it, man, what it really is, I don't think it's too much of a bad thing with Kareem speaking out on some of the stuff that he has issues with LeBron concerning the activist aspect, because I think on some issues LeBron has had some flaws. He has not always handled every situation dealing with activism and politics of the world, but nobody does. Kareem, we talked about it on previous episodes with his take on the Chris Rock situation, with his takes on he ain't hitting everything either.
Yeah. The real magic in that is being willing to try to touch those issues. Like, if you're trying to touch them, like we can respect that. Is the guys like Michael Jordan who never even wanted to touch it because he wanted to sell some sneakers. That's where you have an issue, where you have an issue with people, like, you sell out. But as long as you're willing to touch these issues and try to talk about it, I can respect that at the least, And so, yeah, you're absolutely right to your point. I just want to add that. But
yeah, I think when it comes to them two, honestly, what needs to just happen, they need to just have a conversation behind closed doors. This is not like the Shaq and Kobe. I don't care to watch it. I don't want to see it. Don't televise it. Y'all talk behind closed doors. LeBron gonna have a whole lot of time this summer. Kareem, you ain't doing nothing yourself. Y'all meet up and talk about it. LeBron ain't in the playoffs. He ain't doing nothing. Hit him up before vacation and talk about it. I don't care. I don't want to see it. I don't want to hear about it. Oh, they talk. I don't care. Talk about it. Y'all fix it up. Y'all piece it up and figure it out. And y'all come to it. Hey, we agree to disagree. Just keep my name out. And like Will Smith said, So I think that's where we need. I think that's where to go. But you know the vibes, man. If you stay ready, you don't gotta get ready. Make sure that y'all subscribe, like, share. Make sure you tell a friend. Make sure you repost it. Make sure you rate us 5 stars on all streaming platforms. We're just trying to grow like you trying to grow. Bitch, man, we out. Peace.
Peace.